Now witness the power of this fully armed and operational power station. Fire at will, Commander. Hello, I'm not Emperor Palpatine. I'm not a Sith Lord. This is a Black Manchester United transfer top. And I'm Mark Goldbridge, and this is the United Stand. How are we all doing? Manchester United players ready to quit Manchester United if Jose Mourinho continues down the path he is treading at Manchester United. That is the big headline. There's absolutely loads to talk about as well. Lots going on in the managerial world that may or may not please people. Also transfer market news, some absolute stinkers we've been linked to today, although there is a bit of banter. Apparently we might be offloading Phil Jones to Spurs. Since when would Spurs want old salmon boots? I don't know. But lots and lots of other things to discuss as well. We talk about Fred. Fellaini's had a haircut. Maradona says Mourinho's the best manager in the world. He obviously got on the talc a little bit early this morning. And I have got a bit of a cold, actually. And yes, but let's fly in. Manchester United. Manchester United players apparently looking to not sign contracts because they're not happy with the way the club is going. Now, we spoke about this a couple of days ago, that players are a bit baffled with Jose Mourinho's team selections. And a Manchester United great, Brian Robson, has come out with very, very interesting quotes about player recruitment at Manchester United, saying that player recruitment needs to improve. You know what? I think he's half right on that. We'll come back on that. But what I would say is that in relation to players wanting to leave Manchester United because of the current situation, where would you stand on that? You know, there's part of me that says, look, we're Manchester United. You may not be happy with the manager, but you've got to stick with the club. And, you know, I'm a Manchester United fan. You're a Manchester United fan. And if you're Jose Mourinho out, like I am adamantly at the moment, I've absolutely had enough of him. I can't walk away from the club. You know, if somebody said Jose Mourinho is going to be here for the next 4 years, but it's going to be like this, are you going to stop being a United fan? Well, I'll be like, no. But I hate that scenario. And I think the players, you know, this is where the loyalty comes into it, isn't it? Was David De Gea a childhood Manchester United fan? Is David De Gea a Manchester United fan now? Is Anthony Martial a fan? I think they love the club and they love the fans, but ultimately they've got a short window of a career. We as Manchester United fans should support United for the rest of our lives. They have a you know, if you're David De Gea, I believe you're the best goalkeeper in the world. Why should you play for a mid-table club that never challenges for titles? You know, that's as blunt as it gets. Now, the situation with De Gea is that his contract is not up in the summer. Some people would have you believe that. He actually, his contract has an option for a further year on it. So, but the problem is, if he doesn't sign a contract at some point this season, I think that would leave Manchester United in a very, very difficult situation because he goes into the last year of his contract. So effectively, when you've got 1 year left on your contract, it does make it very, very difficult. So I think United have left themselves in a bit of a bother, and I think it was the Telegraph were reporting about this morning, saying that United have offered him a lot of money. I think it's close to £300,000 a week, which probably isn't as much as what Alexis Sanchez is on, and I think that was always a problem. Look, the world's most expensive piano player, yes, but a massive, massive Mourinho flop as well that has absolutely disrupted the wage structure within the club. I don't get the Alexis Sanchez signing. We spoke about it last night, and I think it's, Gabriel Mendina says it's a similar situation with Martial. Well, I'm going to list a few players that it could be like as well, but the reality is that the signing of Alexis Sanchez was just very, very odd. You know, it ruined Martial, it ruined Pogba, it ruined Lingard, it ruined Rashford. But more importantly, in some ways, it ruined the wage structure at United. You know, he's admitted he's the best paid player in the Premier League, and he's very proud of that. You know, it's the only thing he can be proud of, and I feel sorry for Sanchez. But you know, Pogba, but David De Gea, I mean, bloody hell, has he won 4 of the last 5 Player of the Year awards? You know, I know some people say, well, goalkeepers shouldn't be paid as much as goal scorers, but I think David De Gea is the exception to that rule. He's been absolutely biblical the last 5 years at Manchester United, and he deserves, you know, some would say he deserves the captaincy, but he certainly deserves to be our best paid player, and maybe that's a factor as well. But to be honest with you, I don't think it is. I think it really does come down to the facts, like Pereira's contract situation is the same as Martial and De Gea, that he won't sign a new one and he can go for free. Martial is another one. Pogba is not quite coming towards the end of his contract, but renewal should be on the agenda in the next 18 months. These are players that will look at the situation, and to be honest with you, is it even about Mourinho? I mean, I suppose ultimately it is about Mourinho because he's the manager, we're in a mess. But on top of that, what about the situation that these players are just looking at their careers and going, I'm never going to win anything under this manager. I'm never going to win anything under this manager. Which brings me on to another thing I wanted to discuss, actually. My mind's sort of buzzing around here, and we'll be into live comments as usual. But this is the other thing. I was reading something today about Pochettino, and there was a lot of United fans saying, I wouldn't want Pochettino over Mourinho. Pochettino's never won any titles. Look at Mourinho's CV. And I'm like, oh, my life. Can we just wake up? Hello McFly, hello, anybody there? Because the reality is, Jose Mourinho's got a great CV, but it's a Wikipedia page. He's never going to, I tell you what, meme this, do whatever it is, whatever the modern thing is where you cut a clip and you can use it for the next 5 years, you can bank this, send it to HSBC. Jose Mourinho will never win a Premier League title again. No matter whether it's at Manchester United or anybody, he's never winning a Premier League title again. Never. He's finished. He's absolutely finished as a Premier League title winning manager. Absolutely terrible. Not a chance in the world. Whether it's at United, whether he goes back to Chelsea for romance. Dominic Flavel says Mourinho needs to go. But, that's blunt. That's not petulant. That's not, I want Mourinho out. That's the fact that Jose Mourinho's brand of football is not going to win a Premier League title at Manchester United. I personally believe, as long as Pep stays at Man City and they don't get fined or relegated or points deducted, then he's probably going to win the league every year. I don't see a scenario. I think Liverpool are going to do well. I think Chelsea are going to do well. I think Arsenal will do better. I think Spurs will do well. But you can already see that they're in line behind Pep and Man City. There's nobody in the Premier League at the moment that's going to disrupt Pep. That doesn't mean to say a club could get a new manager or an injection of cash and topple him, but Mourinho is not going to do it. So for all your CVs and Wikipedia page hits about Mourinho's past, the past is the past. He's the ghost of Premier League past. The present is Pep. The future is yet to be written. And I'll tell you what, if you were offering me Pochettino or Mourinho, and Pochettino's not necessarily my choice, although I do like him, I would take Pochettino every day of the week and Sunday, because he may not have won titles, but he ticks the box of where modern football's all about. He can take a club, he can innovate a club, he can develop youth, he can spot a bargain, he can play good football. So I don't want Pochettino because he's never won anything before. You've got a manager that's not going to win anything, Premier Leagues or Champions League. You might get the old Carabao Cup or whatever it is, but he ain't going to win the Premier League or the Champions League. And on top of that, can we all remove our head from our arses about Pochettino's never won a title? We've not even been in a title race for 6 years. So beggars can't be choosers. We need. You know what we need to do? We do need to win a title. I said when Sir Alex Ferguson left, I really hope we don't become Arsenal 10 years or Liverpool 30 years without a title. That's becoming more and more of a reality with every season. But to be honest with you, as much as I want to win Premier League titles, and that was my obsession for the last 6 years, you know what my obsession now is? Just to get our identity back. And that has to happen sooner rather than later, because we need to get our identity back. And if that means bringing in a manager who's going to promote a bit of youth, who's going to build an identity and a philosophy, I will be patient. Because you know what? If we were in 8th in the league now with minus goal difference, but we had Ryan Giggs in charge trying to play the United way, or we had Pochettino in charge in his first season, I would be patient. I wouldn't be going Mourinho out. No, I wouldn't be going Pochettino out. But this is a very, very different situation. Roca Bisa says Mourinho killed this season since the US tour. He's got a lot to be accountable for, of course he has. I just want to say, everybody, as well, I should have said this earlier. Link in the video description, Discord. If you've never used Discord before, you need to get on it and use it. If you have used Discord before, get on the link in the video description. We now have a United Stand Discord page. It's officially been up 24 hours. My oh my, what a 24 hours it's been. We've got text chat, so like where you can just go in and chat amongst yourselves. We've got voice chat channels where you can go into a voice chat and just chat away. I was listening to it last night and today when I was doing some work. People are just chatting away all day talking about United. You don't even have to get in the chat. You can just listen to United fans all around the world talking to each other. It is absolutely brilliant. I feel an absolute idiot for not doing it sooner. We're going to be pulling in people from Discord tomorrow night. Skype Goldbridge is dead. Long live Discord. So it's all set up for tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Will be our first call in. And I'll tell you what, with Discord, we'll be having a lot more call-ins. It's a lot more stable than Skype. It's like a massive forum community for the United Stand. We're going to have giveaways. There's so much polls. 24/7 chat. United Stand, Discord, link in the video description. Get on it. It's absolutely amazing. And what a great day it's been. So, let's pull it back. Pancake says it's fantastic. Anyway, but There's so many things I want to talk about tonight. Let me think where I want to go next. So we've spoken about players. We've spoken about this Pochettino nonsense. Right, let's talk about Manchester United and the status of the club at the moment, because I think that I read something very, very good today, and I think it's very, very accurate, that you've got this situation at Manchester United where Mourinho's bothered about his legacy, the owners are bothered about money, and the fans want success. Everybody's going off in a different direction. The triangle's getting bigger and bigger. And how do you resolve that? And then you've got teams like Fulham. Like, what have Fulham done today? They've brought in Claudio Ranieri, who's won a Premier League title with Leicester. And there's two sides to this coin. The side of this coin that I choose to dwell on is, how the hell are Fulham more effective and ruthless than Manchester United? They spent more money in the summer. They've got rid of a manager who, in all fairness, the Championship is a bloody nightmare. You ask Aston Villa, they thought they were coming down and coming back. They've not. They can't. It's very hard to get out of that league. That manager got Fulham out of that league, promoted a small London club, gets them promoted. We're only at the start of November and he's been sacked because they're not doing that well. That's ruthless. Leicester City did it as well. You know, I know what happened to Leicester City's owner was absolutely horrible, but they were ruthless. They were ruthless in what they did. Ranieri was Premier League champion with Leicester City, and within a few months they'd had not a particularly good start to the season, and he was sacked. That's ruthless from Leicester City and Fulham. And whether you agree with that or not, I don't agree with it. I think when you've won a Premier League title with Leicester, you deserve a full season. When you've won a promotion with Fulham, you deserve a full season. But that's the ruthlessness of modern day owners of football clubs. And what have we got? The biggest club in the world and absolute dithering idiots in charge. You know, they're going to sack Mourinho after Newcastle no matter what. Gary Neville comes out publicly and says they're idiots for doing it. Oh, we better not do that. I mean, weak leadership or what? We're 8th in the Premier League. We've got minus goal difference. We got our arses handed on a plate against Man City. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. But Fulham, go and do something. It's embarrassing. I mean, that's on the ownership, that is. This is, forget Mourinho in or out. The reality is he should be sacked for the start to the season we've had. His attitude over the summer, the remnants of last season in Sevilla, it's consistently failing at Manchester United. And this board should have made a decision. But how embarrassing now that you've got clubs like Fulham being effective and ruthless, and you've got clubs like Manchester United, well, a club like Manchester United, sat on their hands not knowing what to do as long as they've got the latest toothpaste brand deal tied up. Very interesting day tomorrow, actually. Quarterly shareholder meeting, Woodward speaking to the shareholders. He'll be positive, he'll spin it, he'll talk about Juventus beating them, he'll talk about how many Facebook followers we've got, but interesting to see if he talks about investment. And just to add on to that as well, let me just say, big rumours today that Jardim, former Monaco manager, some United fans would really like him. He wouldn't be in my top 3, but I'd take him over Mourinho. Going to Southampton, so anyone who wants Jardim, forget it. It looks like he's off to Southampton. Genwi Belandares says, how good is Martial Rashford Zaha would be? I think they will. I think under the right manager, they could be very, very, very good. I don't think we're going to see the best of Rashford under Mourinho anyway. I personally think Rashford should have gone on loan, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rashford plays well tomorrow night. In fact, that reminds me, tomorrow night we'll be doing the call-in, obviously, so get involved in that. Spraycan says, I've heard that Ed's got us a new denim jeans deal. Look, when somebody like Brian Robson speaks, or Gary Neville, or Roy Keane, or Paul Scholes, or Cantona, when they speak about Manchester United, you listen, because these are my idols growing up. In a Manchester United shirt, these were my idols. But it doesn't mean that they're always right. I mean, as I've always said, the best player I've ever seen play football, I was fortunate, although I was very young, was Maradona. People talk about Messi. Maradona was just absolutely unbelievable. Now, maybe he did cheat, I don't know. But as a footballer, he was unbelievable. As a human being and his football opinions now, the bloke's off his head. I mean, he's come out today and said that Mourinho is the best manager in the world. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many? The thing is, Maradona probably still thinks it's 2008. He's been off his head that much. He probably still thinks it's 2008 because, look, I like Mourinho. I respect his Wikipedia page, but he's far from the best manager in the world. He's not even in the top 5 at the moment. I do believe that when you're looking at the top 5 players in the world, you can't just judge it on Eden Hazard scoring a worldie against Liverpool reserves in the Carabao Cup. It's got to be based on at least, I think, half a season, but maybe even more. But over the last 18 months, Mourinho would not be in the top 5 managers in the world. He just wouldn't be. He's not. You can think of many better. Pep's better. Zidane's better. Allegri's better. Ancelotti is better. There's a lot better managers than him. But Maradona's off his head. But another great for Manchester United is Brian Robson. I do want to say that in relation to him, what he's come out and said today or yesterday is that Manchester United can sort their issues out by improving their recruitment policy. Now, let's not forget, Brian Robson is an ambassador of the club, and it's always important with ex-United players to find that out, because if they're an ambassador for the club, they're on the payroll, and they are not going to say, kick Mourinho out. Like when Paul Scholes or Ferdinand say something negative about United, they're not on the payroll, they're not ambassadors, they're just ex-players who've got the best interest of the club in their heart. The ones who are on the ambassadors, they probably have the best interest, but they've got to be careful what they say. But I do think that Brian Robson's half right in what he said. And this sort of harks to something that I'm a bit concerned about at United. It's this like, let's sort our recruitment out. Let's give Mourinho more money. And very quickly, I just want to sort of reiterate this point, that the reality is that with giving Mourinho more money, why? I've spoken about this so many times. Why give him more money? Fred's on the bench. Pereira's playing PlayStation, not even on the bench. Rashford's on the bench. Well, he wasn't at the weekend. Sorry, Sanchez is on the bench. Bay's not even in the squad. Dalot's not in the squad. Mata's on the bench. You know, that's 6 players there. That's 6 players that should be playing football for Manchester United, but he's picking people like Matic, he's picking people like Fellaini, he's picking people like Ashley Young, he's picking people like Lukaku. So we've already got good players at Manchester United. So to say the recruitment policy's been bad, I don't think so. I think the recruitment policy at United's been quite good. As I say, Eric Bailly was a good signing. I think Lindelof could have been a better signing. Dalot's a good signing. Fred's a good signing. Pereira's a good youth player. Rashford's a good youth player. Chong's a good youth player. Gomez is a good youth player. I mean, Mason Greenwood's doing fantastic things in the youth setup. If he was at Liverpool or he was at Man City, I'm sure he would have had some game time this season. He's absolutely amazing. And he's nowhere near the first team. You know, Michael Owen and Wayne Rooney, they were playing football like 17, 16-year-olds for Premier League clubs. Strikers are the players that you can play at 17 and 18. And this lad's not even getting close to the first team. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. So you can talk about recruitment. You can talk about giving Mourinho another 200 million. But do you trust him to use that money? And even if he bought somebody really good, even if he went and bought Leon Bailey and got us all excited, he'd probably bench him for 6 months. So yes, the recruitment policy probably does need to improve at Manchester United, but actually a lot of it comes down to the manager and how he deals with things. That's my opinion on it. I'm really firmly not for giving Jose Mourinho any money in January, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. Jack Corso says, join the United Stands official Discord. I'll shout it out again at the end, but the link's in the video description. Trust me, I only signed up for Discord yesterday. I never really knew what it was all about. You'll absolutely bloody love it. You've got to get yourself on there. And actually, if you want to be on calls on the future United Stand call-ins, you've got to be on Discord, because that's where it's all going to be. And also, I'm going to be on there for a little bit after this game, sort of interacting with people as well. What else do I want to talk about? Well, Marouane Fellaini's had a haircut. That's the big news today. Oh, great. Fellaini's had a haircut. Well, he's only 5'8" now, so maybe he won't get picked. But, look, this is personal. This is really personal. I don't expect any of you to agree. Fellaini's had a very good season this season, but actually, he shouldn't be anywhere near this team. You know, as I said yesterday, Mourinho spoke about him being injured, but he played because he'll run through brick walls for Mourinho. I tell you what, it doesn't matter how many brick walls he runs through, he wouldn't even get into the bloody training complex at Man City or Liverpool, so he'd just be banging his head against their steel wall because they wouldn't let him in. Even to the training pitch to make the tea. He wouldn't be allowed in. This is the problem. Fellaini played well at the weekend against Man City because we parked the bus and just dealt with high balls. Of course he's going to play well. But he shouldn't be anywhere near the team. I've said this many a time and I'll say it again. Unfortunately, if you start Jesse Lingard, Marouane Fellaini, and now I would add in Lukaku this season as well, our ceiling is 4th. And this season I don't think it'll even be good enough. I think people get lost. It's very difficult. I think you've got to watch football for many years. You've got to go down. You've got to sort of go through these cycles of they're just not good enough. They're just, Kieran Richardson at United was a good player, came through the youth setup, but you just knew you willed him to be good enough wasn't going to be good enough. Jemba, Obertan, you just know they're not going to be good enough, even though you hope that they are. And I think with Fellaini, he's a player that I just don't get why he's at the club. I can't believe it. I thought we were going to get rid of him in the summer. And he flatters to deceive because he plays well, and everyone says, oh, leave him alone, he's playing well. But then you're like, please look at the league table. Please look at our goal difference. Please look at what happened against Man City. He played well, but you can't beat Man City with players like that. You can't challenge Liverpool and Chelsea with players like that. You can't be in the top 4 with players like that. He played well because we're playing like a mid-table team. But it's hard to get through to some people. I accept that. It really is. I don't want to depress people, but this has happened a few times now, and it really worries me. It really does worry me. I think there could be something in this. We were linked to Gary Cahill in the summer. We're linked to Gary Cahill again. He's surplus to requirements at Chelsea. He's nearly 30. I think he might even be 30. So he's ticking the boxes, isn't he, for Mourinho straight away. Used to plays for Chelsea, finished around 30. Chelsea don't want him anymore. Come to Manchester United, whether you're a manager or a player. Come on. I mean, Gary bloody Cahill. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it's a Stoke City signing, isn't it? Not only are we the new Stoke, but we also make Stoke City type signings. Gary bloody Cahill. I can see this happening. Mourinho not being given much money in January, but enough to bring Gary Cahill to the club. We're also linked to Arnautovic. You know what? I'd probably prefer Arnautovic to Lukaku, but you know what? I've got to be blunt about this. Why would we sign Arnautovic? He's a Stoke City signing. He used to play for bloody Stoke. You know, he's at West Ham. Do you think, you know, if Marco Arnautovic's agent could actually get through the switchboard at Man City to get through to Pep and said, look, he's available, do you want him? It'd just be a dead line. It'd be beep, you know. Well, this is what it's all about. This is why it's really important to just keep this momentum going of unacceptability at our club. Whether you're talking about players, board, manager, or all three, we've got to keep this unacceptability going, because if we don't, I see fans every day in the live comments, on Discord, on Twitter, on Facebook, they've been brainwashed. They've accepted where we are. Their expectations have been lowered so much. You know, we used to be all about triples and titles, and now we're 8th place and people are going, you know what, I think Arnautovic would improve us. Icardi would bloody improve us, because Icardi is like a top echelon striker. Marco Arnautovic is good, but he ain't going to win you a bloody title, is he? And that's where we're trying to get to. And Gary Cahill, he might shore things up to get 7th. You know, we've got to stop this. We've got to stop it. We've got to fight against it. And, we really, really have to, because it's becoming just depressing, isn't it? It's becoming depressing. Arnautovic is better than Lukaku, Erend. I do agree with you. And Moada says I like Arnautovic, but he's not a top 4 striker. Arsenal, he's not even a top 8, is he really? Because Arsenal wouldn't want him. Spurs wouldn't want him. Chelsea wouldn't want him. You know. And on that point, somebody said to me today, and I wish I could remember their name. It's a very, very good point, and I will shout them out tomorrow when I go back to the comment. But they said to me, you know the Lukaku-Morata deal? Lukaku was going to Chelsea, Morata was coming to United, and whatever went on, it all went tits up. And the reality is, when you look at it, we'd have been better off with Morata, and Chelsea would have been better off with Lukaku. I know that sounds stupid because they both sort of flopped in their own way, but Morata's build-up play and his touch is infinitely better than Lukaku. You know, Lukaku is, as I say, Sainsbury's supermarket. That's where you'll find his first touch. I mean, apparently, I was talking to somebody today who said his neighbours couldn't stand living next door to him because they're forever in their garden throwing the ball back. But look, Morata can actually hold the ball up. He's got a touch. Yes, his finishing leaves a lot to be desired, but hello, so does Lukaku's. Like everyone, you always say to me, Lukaku needs 5 chances to score 1 goal. Well, so what? Morata misses a lot of chances. So what? What Morata would have brought to us is he can actually hold the ball up. He's quick. You know, I think I always wanted Morata. And I've always been laughed at for it, and I've always been reluctant to take the L because long term, I think I've been proved right. I think Morata would have been a lot better for United than Lukaku because he's a footballer, and Pogba's played with him before. I mean, you think about it. What does Lukaku actually deliver to Manchester United? I mean, he scored 27 goals last year, but who's to say Morata wouldn't have done that? I think United would have been a better team with Morata, I really do. He's got a good touch, he's got good build-up play. Pogba could knock the ball into him with confidence and make a run. The same with Martial. But with Lukaku, as I say, SpongeBob SquarePants, you knock it into his crotch and it bounces back to bloody Everton. It's a problem that United are not going to resolve. Morata, you look, Slack Jack 1, you can put it in capitals as much as you like. He says Morata cannot hold the ball up, Mark. I've been watching Morata for years, Juventus as well, Real Madrid and at Chelsea. He can hold the ball up. He's got a lovely first touch. Our club doesn't deserve Pogba, says Omar. Look, I think anybody who's having a go at Pogba still, watch what happened at the weekend. And that midfield was just dead, absolutely dead. So, I think Pogba gets a little bit of stick, but I wouldn't swap him for anybody at the moment. I think Pogba is very, very important to Manchester United, and certainly somebody that we need to be protecting, because I do... look, Andy McGraw makes a good point. What's the guarantee that Morata would perform under Mourinho? Well, there is no... Ken, you should have put the question there, because I probably won't see the question now. He says, I've got a question for you, Mark. But you know what? Jack, who's one of our moderators on Discord, put up a very, very good point today in one of the group chats. Because on Discord, if you go on there are voice chats there. So if you go in there, you can start talking about United to anybody, or you can just listen to other people talking. It's really good. And we've got about 4 or 5 group chats. So if one gets really full, you can just spill onto a new one. You can do that 24/7 if you want. But I was listening to one today while I was working, because I can't talk while I'm working. I'll get in trouble. But I had my headphones in. I was listening to one of the group chats, and people were talking about United players. And they came out with a very, very good point, actually. And I'd like to get a lot of your opinions on this. Do you ever see a Manchester United player looking happy on the pitch? Because when you look at other clubs, and regularly, especially, I've seen it with Liverpool, I've seen it with Spurs, you see it with Man City. A lot of them play with a smile on their face when they shoot and they miss or whatever like that. There's a happiness to them. And to be honest with you, it's not something I'd actually considered before, but it was something I wanted to bring in. When do you see a Manchester United player looking happy? I think we have seen it every now and again, but in the main, I'd say 90% of the time, they don't look happy. They look frustrated, they look confused, they look like they're going through the motions. And I think that is something, again, that reflects badly on what's going on at the club. We speak about player-manager professional relationship, and I think you've always got to have that. But I do think a lot of our players don't look happy. I think when they score a goal, obviously they're happy, but I wouldn't say they're depressed. They just look like they're confused. And I think, especially against Man City, I definitely detected from Lingard and Rashford and Martial utter despair and frustration at what they were being asked to do against Man City. I mean, with that midfield behind you, it was a bloody nightmare. Sergio Hernandez says, if De Gea left, would you take Oblak? The thing is, though, we shouldn't be in a situation where David De Gea is leaving. It reflects badly on the board, because if David De Gea is going to leave Manchester United, I believe he will leave because he wants to win trophies. And we've had 6 years to sort this out with De Gea. We've had 6 years of him being our player of the year. We've had 6 years of not challenging for a title. That's 4 years too long. In fact, it's 5 years. United should never have this going on for more than 1 year. It's bloody embarrassing. I've said it before. If this was Juventus, if this was Bayern Munich in Germany, if it was Real Madrid in Spain, they would sort this issue out very, very quickly. And at United, it's rumbling on 6 years plus now of this absolute inability to build a club. Like, Sir Alex Ferguson's the greatest manager there's ever been, but that's no excuse for letting the club just rot like they have done. It should not be happening. There are very intelligent football people out there. There are very good managers out there. There are very good players out there. There are very good coaches out there. It's inexcusable that we've appointed 3 anti-football coaches who don't fit our club, and that reflects badly on the club. And just talking about one of our ex-managers as well, I read a quote from Van Gaal a few days ago, I think it was, saying that, basically slagging United off, saying that the way United are run, it's all a business, it's all about money. Bayern Munich is run like a football club who care about the club, and he's right. I've always said about Bayern Munich, you've got Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, I think Beckenbauer's involved. They've got people involved in that club who've played for that club, who understand what that club's all about. And yes, they're a brand, and yes, they've got to make money, but there's a real care about what that club is all about. United, it's embarrassing what we've become. It's fractured. It's fractured. Kane Ellis says Pavard centre-back, Depay striker. Don't know. But yeah, look, De Gea will leave Manchester United for the simple reason that we are nowhere near challenging for titles. And to be honest with you, I don't want to think about this because I like to live in the now. When it comes to Manchester United's situation, do you believe that we're winning the title next season? Now, what are we? We're November the 14th. You know what? I'm glad nobody spoke to me. I'm glad I don't have a time machine. We're hanging around the McFlys a lot tonight, aren't we? I'm glad I don't have a time machine because I remember last season, we came back after this international break. I think we beat Newcastle, Watford, Arsenal away. We took 9 points and we kept the gap at around, I think it was 9 points from Man City. And I remember coming back after the international break and it was like, bloody hell, Watford are in form, Arsenal away. We've basically got to win those games because Man City are playing teams like Huddersfield. We've got to try and keep this gap at 8 points or whatever it was and then beat City at Old Trafford and we close it to 5 points so we can make something of the season. Obviously, we did win them games. We did really well. I think Arsenal was my favourite game last season. Then we entertained City, we parked the bus, we got our arses smacked and the gap went up to double points and the title was gone by Christmas. And I remember saying on one of the United Stand shows, this is bloody depressing. Yeah, we've still got the Champions League, the FA Cup, but for the Premier League title to be gone by Christmas, it's depressing. We're already waiting for next season. Well, here we are this season. Who'd have thought it a month earlier? Well, you could even say October. You could even say September. The title was gone. So it's earlier this year that we're saying the title's gone. It was bad enough last year saying it at Christmas. So earlier this year the title's gone. And do you think we're going to win it next year? I think we're moving further away. I think we're moving further away from the confidence because lower expectations are being lowered. I don't think we're going to win the title next year. Not unless Pep leaves City. I don't see it happening because Mourinho's not winning the title. And if you bring a new manager in, can you expect them to win the title in the first year? I don't think you can. It's really sad. It's really sad. It's sad what's happening. We're not getting any titles this season, says Ras Tafari. Well, we might win the FA Cup, but we were in the final last year and we didn't turn up. You never know with United whether they're going to turn up or not. Sassy the Sasquatch says we're not going to see a title for another 10 years at least. I don't think you can ever say that. I'm confident that we can turn this around, but I just don't have any confidence in the board. Jack Coleman says I'd clap De Gea if he left. You know what? Actually, if De Gea left, I'd be gutted, but I would absolutely understand it. He would get clapped off. He wouldn't be a snake. He's been more than loyal to us. He's been absolutely bloody brilliant, and he's been betrayed. He's been, he has not been treated well by this club because they have not backed him with what was required. His talent deserves. We should be challenging for titles, and De Gea should be in a title-winning team. Jardim is perfect for United, says Ryan C. Well, Jardim could be off to Southampton, as has been said. And people want a song. I'm not singing. I'm gradually getting better, Tomafree. It's a long old cough, this one, but it is gradually getting better. I've just had a thought, actually, that tomorrow night is actually England playing, and it's Rooney's swan song, so I probably will watch that, which means it's going to be at 8 o'clock. So I think what I'm going to do tomorrow night, I have got another channel, it's called Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. So tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do a watch-along on That's Football. So don't be coming looking for me on the United Stand at 8 o'clock, because tomorrow night I'll be doing That's Football at 8 o'clock. We'll do a watch-along, so join me there on That's Football for that, for Rooney's swan song and a bit of Rashford and that. But I'll put up a video tomorrow for you as well about something or other. But link in the video description. Please get on the Discord thing. Loads of people are signing up. It's going to be the best thing you do. It's absolutely free to do it. We've got voice chat there where you can chat 24/7 with United fans. We've got text groups where you can just be chatting away like on an instant live chat. We've got Mourinho in and out. We've got general chat. We've got gaming chat. There's loads of stuff on there. If you don't know what it's about, or you do know what it's about, the link is in the video description for Discord. Get on there. I mean, straight after this show, if you go on there, people will be chatting away about what I've been talking about on the show. So, in fact, I'm going to have a listen myself and see what people have got to say. In fact, I tell you what, I'll go on there for 10 minutes straight after here. Links in the video description for that. Please do drop a like on the video. We got 1,000 likes before it even gone off air yesterday, which was absolutely amazing. I'm absolutely loving the fact that we're getting so many people watching the shows every night at the moment, because I think it's really important that we keep this momentum going. We've got to keep the momentum going of unacceptability at Manchester United. That doesn't mean Mourinho out, which I am. You can still be Mourinho in. You can be bored out, whatever. You can be fed up with certain players. But the thing that unites us is the current situation at our club is unacceptable. We're an embarrassment. We're an absolute embarrassment. We're going to Man City parking the bus. We're 12 points off the top of the league. We're 8th because we deserve to be 8th. We've got minus goal difference. The football we play is absolutely shit. We've got to get this sorted out at our club. And my feeling is, I don't really care about the board. I don't really care about the players. I don't really care about the manager. In some ways, what I care about is the fans. I do not want to see expectations lowered. It irritates me every time I see a United fan on social media saying, back Jose, he can turn this around. You know, by Christmas we'll be in the top 4. It's November. We've had 3 months of this season. We've had 12 Premier League games. We are where we deserve to be. We can't score goals. We can't stop goals going in. We've been beaten by some real, teams that we should be beating ourselves. And when we're coming up against big teams, we've been embarrassed. We've got to keep this up. We've got to keep this unacceptability, frustration up. Because if we don't, the club are going to get what they want. And they can't be apathetic about this. James Howell says, Mark, the 4 jerk bros, Avram, Joel, Brian, Kevin and Brian, look how he's running NFL Tampa Bay. Cliff Batty, Richard Arnold with Mr. Ed, God help us. Thanks for the contribution, James. So, the link's in the video description for Discord. Get yourself over there. The United Stand Discord. It's absolutely brilliant. And I shall see you tomorrow. I'll be putting up a video at 1 o'clock. I may well do it live. So, let's drop a like on video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Get yourself onto Discord. And I shall see you all tomorrow. Everything is going as I have foreseen. Young Skywalker. See you soon. Thanks for watching.